This is a poem that was published in Word Salad. This is called The White Witch Responds. Stare at me. I have eyes that can turn people to stone. Fight me. The bones of heroes litter the walls of my house. Open your mouth to me and let me kiss. Fresh souls satisfy me. Dare me, and I'll reach out my hand, take it, and stare into my mouth forever. I'm going to read a couple poems that have been published different places. This is one that Anna's published. People liked it at the workshop, etc. I'll just read a little brief thing about it. There's been news about Indonesia, about earthquakes there. It's part of the Ring of Fire. There are some, on the island of Sumatra, there are volcanoes there that have been there for hundreds of years. And these volcanoes almost wiped out the earth. Mount Tabor was one of them, and it's now a lake, a volcanic lake. This is a poem about Indonesia. Somebody will ask me, I guess, and it will all come flashing back. The trash, the sewage, the rat jumping across the gutter, the night I went to the disco, the drive home from Chimangas on my half-brother's motorbike, the bus ride from the airport at Jakarta, the 2 lanes of roads filled with 4 lanes of traffic, the fire inside the city put out by water pumped from a ditch, the prostitutes at Ancho, normally $5, but $10 for virgins. My half-brother driving an hour and a half every day just to get to Jakarta. The smell of benzene and fried fish every day. The loudspeakers from the mosque every night. The Turkish toilets with no toilet paper. The cold water every morning. The rice at every meal. The vendors' bells every night. And the voices, all the same, speaking no English. And me, the only one around speaking English, ready to go home. Yeah. This is a poem for Anna and for Dave. There was once a time. There was once a time, Susan, your hair blondish brown, a mole on your face, the shape of your cheekbones, brown eyes, how you spoke to me and how I wanted you. Once, you were the wind, and my fingers only touched air. You were the mist, and my lips kissed sunlight. One night you came, and what Trent had said, that you had always come when you were needed, as if our sorrows summoned you. You healed me. You healed me forever. I had a vision that night from the past. My brown shirt, you pulling up your stockings. We had done this once before. Once. I had you, but I could never have you. I could possess you, but never hold you. You were the wind, and my fingers only touched air. You were the mist, and my lips kissed sunlight. You made me cry, and my tears fell on your face. You were everything I wanted, my past, my memories, and when I think of you, I remember the pictures, the play. You were the most beautiful angel of death, and her image did not destroy you. Nothing could. You were the wind, and my fingers only touched air. You were the mist, and my lips kissed sunlight. You made me cry, and my tears fell on your face. Your nose, your eyes, how I miss everything about you. You were everything I wanted, my past and my memories. Once. I had you, but I could never have you. I could possess you, but never hold you. You made me cry, and my tears fell on your face. Once. This is called Sequel for my wife. Sometimes I really forget, and then when you leave with our 2 children, and you're smiling, happy, I forget how truly beautiful you are. What brought us together and kept us together through thick and thin since 1992. You are more beautiful than I ever will be. You say more with less words. Once you speak, I understand what you are saying. You have a wonderful smile. You have beautiful black hair. Our children reflect your beauty, not mine. I have made and continue to make many mistakes, but one mistake I never will make, and it is to remember how lucky I am to have you in my life. Keep smiling. It makes me fall in love with you all over again. it's actually Lynn, which I'll call back later. This is Thoughts on Death. I'm going to start this poem with a quote from The Mask of the Red Death. And darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. My wife told me that our neighbor died during the night. We weren't sure where. He was staying at a nursing home. Yesterday at work, I found the obituary of my Aunt Lucille. She lived up to the ripe old age of 92, outlived all her siblings, including my dad, outlived her husband and even one of her sons. She was born 1917, and like many of her generation, the Depression and World War II changed the way she looked at things. But even her, in her ripe old age, is dead. And all this made me think of that line from Little Buddha. What is impermanence? See these people all around you? In 100 years, they won't be here. That is impermanence. Do we live our lives knowing we are impermanent? Buddhism not only teaches that, it states we are interdependent. Everyone's needs are connected with one another. How are we to live in an impermanent and interdependent universe? The Buddhists teach people to be kind to one another. Christians say, love your neighbor as God loves you. Christianity teaches not to be afraid of death, for Jesus conquered death at the cross. Dying is going home in Christianity, but not many Christians I've met feel that. Death is an unknown fear. I'm frightened about it, mainly because I don't know what's there. I suspect there's nothing there, a vast void. So I run away from it as much as possible. Perhaps I and many others live our lives like the characters of an Edgar Allan Poe story, The Mask of the Red Death. While the Red Death raged outside, people inside Prospero's castle acted as if there was no such thing. There were continuous parties and celebrations. Then the clock would sound, and everything would stop until the clock stopped tolling. One night, the Red Death appeared disguised and killed everyone there in the castle. Are we like those revelers, pretending death does not exist? I wonder. I want to end this reading of mine on a happy note. And even though there are some sad things about Indonesia, there were some very positive, happy things about Indonesia for me. This is called Up a Mountain Deep in Indonesia. Up a mountain deep in Indonesia, in the island of Sumatra, deep in Indonesia where no one speaks English, where the only tourists are blonde-haired Dutch men and women, and up the mountain that goes up in curves, driving in weaves up a single road, up a mountain where you find yourself at the top of a crater. The crater, a huge lake, and down the crater, the lake stretches out for miles. And from the top of the mountain, it seems that life, when viewed from a distance high above, it stretches for miles. Its dimensions unfathomable, its length and width unrecognizable, its beauty insurmountable. And before one descends back down into the thick of things, into the crowds of people, into the cars that weave around this life, it seems that for an instant, for a second, life like this lake is so beautiful, an eye clear and pristine, one could almost live in it, swim in it with joy on a hot blue June day, deep in the hills of Indonesia, where no one speaks English, where the only tourists are blonde-haired Dutch men and women. For an instant you could touch it, you could live it, you could believe in it for an instant. I was glad to be alive, to be there, to be here, on top of the lake, whose dimensions are unrecognizable. And before I descend, I see this, and I'm smiling, for I am alive, I'm here, and I don't want to be anywhere else, anywhere else, anywhere else. And I wish you were here, in the sunlight with me, right here, right now. Thank you.